and they kept coming in and out of the room to see if I was dying. And I'm, at one point I'm starting, Jim, my lung is gurgling. Get me help. I'm going to die. And he's just walking in and out. Then he comes in one time. He has the phone in his hand, and he's just like the phone cord is dangling, not attached to the wall anymore. This phone won't work. And I'm like, I think that was like the trigger where I knew he was going to kill me.
Welcome to Creepalachia. We have the female Mike Tyson in the studio today. I have been looking forward to this for months. I'm so glad we got it lined out. Christy Martin, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm very excited for this conversation. Everybody knows you, but for those who don't, you had over 50 bouts, I believe. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. You were the first female boxer on the cover of Sports Illustrated.
The only one to be on the cover of Sports
Illustrated. Has there never been one since?
No.
That's awesome. That's so cool. And you grew up in Itmann,
West Virginia, right down the road.
Yeah.
Wyoming County.
Yeah. So I got a lot of questions. Let's start there. So tell me about your childhood. Like, what was growing up like, being a coal miner's daughter and all that good stuff?
Just a coal miner's daughter from a little town, and you just do what you do. You don't know any different. I played sports with the boys. It was before girls had teams to play softball. Basketball. I just played with the boys. I played on the elementary school team with the boys, and then I played baseball. I really wanted to play football, but they wouldn't let me. So I was just active. It's not like kids today where they want to sit inside and play on the computer. I was out there just following my dad around when he's building on the house, and I was following him in his footsteps. So it's just, I'm glad that I had that, not sitting in front of a computer screen. I'm glad I'm old.
Oh, well, you look great. You look like you could fight today. And you were telling me a little bit about your dad. You get to come back in and take him to appointments and take him out. So would you consider yourself a daddy's girl?
Oh, absolutely. It was always growing up. If somebody did something to me, my favorite line was, "I'll tell Dad." And that's anybody in the family knows, if you do anything to Christy, she's going to tell Dad. So, and my brother was, my mommy's baby. So that's the way it rolled at our house.
How many siblings did you have?
Mom, I had a younger brother who passed a few years ago, at the age of 48 years old, cancer. Oh. And that just sucks. But yeah,
I'm sorry to hear
I miss him. I need him, but he's gone.
What kind of cancer did he have?
He had colorectal cancer, and then it spread to his lungs and his liver.
Very sorry to hear that. Was you all real close?
We were 4 years apart. So as far as like in school, I would be in middle school. Then I would go in high school when he was just coming to middle school. So we were never actually in the same school, and we were just years-wise a little bit too far apart, I guess, that we didn't have the same friends. But as we were getting settled in life, he got sick.
Yeah. Awful. And you just telling me your mom recently passed this February. Very sorry about that. I watched your Netflix documentary, and your mom was featured on there and seemed like a real nice lady. So football was the sport that they didn't let you do. Would you consider yourself an athlete? Like, were you pretty good at basketball and things like that? Or what would you say?
I was good enough that I was all-state 3 years for, in West Virginia. And then I played basketball at Concord College. So, I wasn't Division I by any stretch, but I was able to go out there and play. And I started, I was part of the team. I really was part of the team. A starter for 3 years over there at Concord. So I was okay. I like to shoot, but I also knew by the time I got to college that it was going to be a little more Dennis Rodman style to get that playing time. And that was just hustle and heart. And that's how I really got to play in college.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty daggone good. Start at Concord. I mean, if you start at college at all, you're pretty daggone special. So eventually you put on boxing gloves. Like, how did this story arc happen? What was the first time you did that?
So it was just a crazy thing that I don't know why, but I had this, I want to do this tough man contest, of course, against women, but they had never let women enter. So I kept telling Jerry Thomas, come on, Jerry, add women's division to the tough man. And he was, no, Christy, that's crazy. And then there was a group over here in Beckley called Mean Mountaineer. And it was Bob Lowry and, oh my goodness, I think it was an attorney, Tanner, I think was his name. They did this Mean Mountaineer contest with women. So that was like my really first time to enter the boxing ring. I had never been to a boxing gym before. I had never seen a live professional match. I had only been to the Tough Man contest and then, of course, watched boxing on TV. But for some crazy reason, I thought, I want to do this.
You never sparred anyone or anything?
Not at that time.
Wow.
No. It was just, I was an athlete. And the thing was, I did fight like tough women, barroom brawler kind of women that were just not athletes. They were just tough women. And usually after about 15 or 20 seconds, they were out of gas. And because I was a little bit more of an athlete, a little better conditioning, then I would take over.
Yeah. And I have your record here, which I'll tell everyone. So it's 49-7-3, and you had 32 knockouts. And then is that 2 TKOs? Not sure. But anyway, you knocked out a lot of people.
Yeah.
Did you figure out early? Like, to me, it seems like boxing, yeah, you can train a lot of things, but sometimes with power, it seems like it's kind of a gift. Would you say that's the case, or is it trainable? I
think punchers are born. I think you can improve a fighter's punching power, but it's kind of like either you punch or you can't. Somebody's going to teach you how to deliver that power, and it can improve, because your accuracy gets better. Like, to hit the person on the chin, not on the elbow. So that improves power. But I loved it. I was a fan of like Mike Tyson style, Joe Frazier style, those guys that just wanted to go in there and fight. That's what I wanted to see. Mm-hmm. And that's what I wanted to be. I felt like that's what the fans got behind. The fans wanted to see people go in there, knock people out. They want to see you get hit. They want to see you give a good hit. So that's what I wanted to bring, that type of excitement.
And you definitely did. And this record, this wouldn't have counted your tough man fights. That would have been amateur, correct? What started happening in your first few fights? Was you KOing people early, or was it that apparent that Christy had something special? Or
so in those tough man fights, again, it was against women that were they weren't really athletes.
Right.
So I did knock some of them out. And I think that just made me get more excited about boxing and think, wow, this is pretty cool. Never in my wildest dreams did I think it was going to be a career. It was just something that I thought, this is pretty cool. And then after a couple tough man contests, and I was fortunate enough to win, I got a call from a professional promoter, Larry Carrier, down in Bristol, Tennessee, who owned the Bristol International Raceway at that time. And he's like, will you come down and fight my girl? And I thought, I'll do it one time so I can tell everybody, when I get old, that I did this boxing thing once. Mm-hmm. And I drove down to Bristol, Tennessee, fought his girl, knocked her down, beat her up, and it was a draw. So that was like my first lesson in boxing. You go fight the promoter's girl, cards are stacked against you.
Really? Yeah. Well, and I imagine too, does it happen to an early fighter? Do people try to stack records? Like when they start building up a fighter, do they try to get people that odds are they're going to win? Does that make sense?
Absolutely. When you're building a fighter, you want them to have to fight, but you want to put them in, you start out, you put them in a 90-10 fight. They should smoke this person. Then as they have a couple more fights and, it's 80-20, 70-30, then, start making the fights more and more competitive. But you want to put your fighter in a fight that they always have the upper hand, you're hoping. But they have to fight tougher people. And that's what they thought they were getting with me, was just somebody that obviously never been in a boxing gym, didn't have any real skills. But what they didn't count on was that I could punch and I had lots of heart.
Yeah. And you had the lung capacity. That's the thing too. If you get going, a few rounds. I mean, but people don't realize how hard boxing is until you go out and you literally try it. Like, I know if you go out and you just work out and hit a heavy bag, I'm dead after about 3 minutes. And it's probably the most physically demanding, other than like MMA, it's the most physically demanding sport there is, in my opinion, because there's so many bursts of energy.
So we had, was in Orlando, Florida for a long time, and had a gym there, UCF. It's just across the town, and all these football players would, venture in from time to time, and they're in great shape to play football, but they would start hitting the heavy bag, just like you said, and after like about a minute and a half, 2 minutes, they're like, you can hear them breathing like that, and it's everything is sport specific. They're training in great shape to play football. Boxing is tough. Boxing is grueling, and even when you take a little break during a round, you can only take a break if that person lets you take a break that you're fighting. So if you're fighting somebody that's in great shape and can really keep the pressure on, that's like bell to bell. You get no time to breathe. So you have to be prepared for that person, at all times.
Yeah. What does it feel to knock someone out?
It's
to physically, like, do you feel anything? What is it?
It's the greatest feeling in the world. It's the biggest high ever. It's just great. I mean, they're trying to knock you out. So then you knock them out and it's like, wow. It's just a big adrenaline rush, a big high, and nothing, in my opinion, nothing compares to it.
It's so, I don't know if primal's the word. It's like, it gets to the foundation of us. And it's, my other question was, have you ever felt bad? Like you beat someone so bad that you were just like, that was kind of mean, but you're both in there to do the same thing. And it's a sport. It's not like, you got in a school fight or something and you felt bad later. But I imagine it's also the contrary have you ever been knocked out? I can't remember this.
I really never been knocked out. When I fought Layla, I took a knee and basically quit. And that's like the hardest thing. That's the hardest 10 seconds of my career, maybe my life. The thing that I surrendered. I now looking back and immediately after the fight was like, why didn't I just stay in there till she knocked me out? But that was a poor choice I made. That was the choice I made for those 10 seconds.
My goodness. I mean, the career you've had, it's, do you find yourself thinking about those times that you still didn't fail, but to you, I'm sure you feel like you failed. Do you think about those times more than the actual wins, or is it kind of
probably so? I mean, I think it's kind of that syndrome where it can be in an arena and like 95% of the people are cheering for you, but there's that 5% up at the corner that's booing you. It's that 5% that I hear. I don't hear the other cheers. I just hear those boos. And that's what's hard. But I want to, you asked me about if I fought somebody and I started to feel bad for them.
Mm-hmm.
I did have that fight. And when I had that fight, I felt like, looking back, I should have retired at that time because I fought this girl. I think her name was Lana Alexander. And I fought her in Tennessee or Mississippi. I fought her in Mississippi, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And I knocked her out, but she should never been in the ring with me. She was too small. She didn't have experience. And I hit her with the body shot. And then afterwards, I saw her like holding her ribs and walking through the casino by herself. And like I hurt for her. And at that point, in my mind, I knew my career was over because you just can't feel for your opponent, no matter what happens. I mean, of course, if they were seriously injured, that's a whole nother thing, but we're just talking about just knocking somebody out or beating somebody up. You just can't feel for them. And once you start to do that, I think you've lost the edge.
Yeah. And the edge, I imagine you have to have like this killer's instinct or you could get hurt. I mean, I would think.
They want to hurt me, so
yeah.
I need to hurt them before they get a chance.
Exactly. Yeah, that's. I'm glad you put it that way. So, is there a difference to you for like a good liver shot or like, hit someone in the chin? Which would you, if you had to choose, which would you pick to knock someone out with? To me, body shots are like a shotgun to the chest. Like, and you literally, your body just says, I'm not going to work anymore. But everyone always thinks of the chin music being the thing. But is there a difference there?
I think everybody wants to get that spectacular knockout, and those come from hitting somebody on the chin. But then there's that, I kind of feel when you knock somebody out with a body shot. But and a liver shot is that, like you said, it's like everything just stops. You can it starts again in about 12 seconds, which is 2 seconds too long. Mm-hmm. But I think a chin shot is always going to make you happiest.
Yeah, that's good to know. So take me back. So is Tennessee the gym that you mainly trained at early on when you started building up? And that was where you first met Jim, correct?
Right.
Okay. So take me back to that day. When did you all meet?
Yeah, so Larry Carrier, who was the promoter there, he, after the fights with his girl, and then had a rematch with his girl and knocked her out, cold, out, done. So then he also wants to sign me. And then he wanted to follow up with, hey, I have a trainer that wants to train you. And I thought, well, I was about to graduate from college, so it's perfect timing. I'm going to take 6 months. I'll go to Bristol, Tennessee. I'll train with this guy, and then I'll come back when school starts and get a teaching job and
there we go.
Do what you do.
Yep.
So it didn't quite work out that way. I went to Bristol, but I knew that, Jim Martin was not excited about having to train a female fighter. But I trained hard and kind of just did my thing. I worked hard. I tried to learn. I listened. And I think the difference in male fighters and female fighters, when guys walk in the gym, they walk in already with an attitude that they know how to fight. I think for the most part, when females walk into the gym, they're walking in with an open mind. And, I always tell people, like, if you have your hand open, I can put all kinds of stuff in it. Guys walk in with their hand closed. There's no room to put anything in it. Mm-hmm. So they think they already know how to fight, which they do, but they don't sometimes know boxing skills. I walked in wanting to learn. And so I was able to just be like, I was like a sponge. I soaked up everything that was being taught to me. And the improvement was, big jumps. Every day. I felt like, oh yeah, I'm getting better at this. Every day there was something new that I was getting better at. So that makes you stay hungry. You want to keep getting better.
Yeah. I imagine earlier the improvements, like this is no comparison, but when I first started lifting weights, I weighed like 125 pounds. And early on, the improvement was so drastic when you just kept on going those first several months. Is there a time where you kind of plateau out and you just got to keep going, that things are harder to learn, or is it a constant, education?
I think you could, you're always learning little things. And then the things that you already know, you're getting, improving on, working on that to get better, working to get, a snappier jab, a little quicker, double jab, triple jab. So there's always something that you're trying to get better at. Even though you have the basic skills, you just keep wanting to improve. And I don't think I never got past trying to get better.
Sure. Did Jim see early on that like you had a power that was really special, especially in the female division?
I think so. I think it was the fact that I worked hard and I took a pretty good shot.
Yeah. And did you spar men? Like, how did that work?
Yeah.
When you sparred, did you have certain sparring partners that you'd work with?
So I had sparring partners always that were guys. A few times, kind of toward the end of my career, when I was getting a little soft, probably, I started sparring with some females. But also the female fighters were getting better by the time I was getting to the end of my career. But I always felt like if a female that's good enough to spar with, I really don't want to spar with her because I might have to fight her. Mm-hmm. And so I sparred with Jimmy Maloney was my sparring partner forever, years and years. We sparred hundreds of rounds. I had a couple guys that were with me for a long time and took a crazy ride with me.
That's cool. Did you ever catch one in a sparring session and you're like, whoops, sorry about that?
Yeah. So, most everybody worked with me. Jimmy broke my nose. He broke my ribs. He broke my eardrum.
Oh, wow.
I hit him with some good shots, he would say. And then I dropped a couple guys. But you're in there banging away. Anything can happen.
Is what it is. So you all would spar. You and Jim would.
No, Jimmy Maloney.
Oh, Jimmy, gotcha. Okay, because I remember hearing a story about you and Jim Martin sparred one time, and he, kind of caught you real good.
Yeah.
How was he as a trainer? And we'll get into. Obviously, you've been through a lot of tragic and traumatic moments that we're going to walk through, but was he a pretty good trainer in the early days?
I think Jim Martin was a good trainer, like a really solid amateur trainer, like somebody to give you good basics. And then as my career progressed, I would often ask him, can we bring in somebody else to go along with what you're teaching me? Of course, he was no to that. But I feel like I had, I still had 30% of improvement. I could have improved, but I wasn't allowed. He would never let anybody else come in.
You have a big ego?
Big ego, and he wanted to control everything that I did and who I talked to. And basically, I feel like he didn't want somebody else to come in that might tell me, Christy, that everything's going on here is not right. Not everything's good.
Yeah. And eventually you all started dating. How did that occur? Like, was it like, did he ask you to go to Red Lobster, or like how did that initially happen?
Yeah. So, it's kind of crazy. He was new to Bristol. I was new to Bristol. And then just after one of the fights, I kissed him, but it was like, well, you get excited. You're excited and you just kiss somebody, and then you're like, oh shit, what did I just do? And it was one of those moments. And then from then we just kind of started to go to dinner and spending more time together.
How early on was that in your professional career?
I had about, before I went there, I turned pro in 89 and I went to Bristol in 92. I think it was 91 or 92. Mm-hmm. So it was early.
Yeah. And eventually, which you've had a lot of big fights, but I imagine one that's pretty freaking cool that you hear about is being on the Tyson card. How did Don King come into y'all's world in the first place?
Yeah, so that's a good story too, because Jim Martin had told me, I know all these people, and I know Don King, and I know Bob Arum, and I know Michael Buffer. And I'm like, okay, cool. I mean, I have no reason to think he's lying. He was. But so I was in a gym in Daytona Beach, Florida, sparring. And a guy that trains fighters for Don King at the time, Jesse Robinson, came in and he saw me. And at the time, I had long hair and had it all bundled up and put up under my headgear. And he said to somebody, he's like, who is that guy? And they start laughing. They're like, that's not a guy. That's Christy. He's like, oh, shit. And then, so he just kind of started hanging around with us. And finally he said, I'm going to take you to Don King. Come on. I'm coal miner's daughter from Itmann, West Virginia. Yeah. I didn't believe it. I didn't believe he was going to take me to Don King, but he did. A couple months passed. It was about the time Tyson was getting out of prison. And he calls and said, DK will see you. And I'm like, let's get in the car. So, we were in Daytona. So we, it's like 4-hour drive down to Miami, or we just hopped in the car and took off and got to see Don King. But when I was in the office, I was a nervous wreck. I mean, it's Don King. And not only just being scared, but then Jim was really out of his element. And he's supposed to be the one that's like negotiating a deal. There was no negotiation. It was, this is what King's willing to do, and you want to sign it or not.
Yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong, you got paid, was it $15,000 for that fight?
For the Gogarty fight was $15,000.
Gotcha. Okay. Which, I mean, coming from Itmann, I know like what I felt like when I actually started, making money with my job. I mean, I'm sure you were pumped. And plus the exposure was a big thing too, because isn't that the only female fight that he had on an undercard?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, that was was just crazy. We're at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, and I remember getting in the ring, and you just look out, and everybody in the first like 3 rows. Sugar Ray Leonard was there, Magic Johnson was there, all kinds of stars. Everybody. Everybody was there.
Yeah.
Rappers. Tupac was there. It was, it's crazy.
Wow. That's crazy. Well, also, so it was Bernard Hopkins and Mike Tyson, correct?
It was Bruce. The first one was Frank Bruno.
Gotcha. Okay. And then the cool part, other than all of it's cool, but you all got in and had arguably the best fight of the night, which you ended up winning. Take me through that. Tupac's in the 3rd row. Let me get serious here. Do you got to just shut that off and just know what you came here to do, and or do those jitters not go away for a few rounds?
Well, I think once you get in the ring, and that's been the good thing about with me. I never got too in awe of who was out there, because my concentration was on that opponent on the other side of the ring trying to take my head off.
Yeah.
So it was a great fight. It was a war. Gogarty broke my nose in the 2nd round. I knocked her down in the 2nd round. Blood was everywhere. And that really got everybody's attention. That, wow, this woman's bleeding. She's got on pink and she's bleeding and she's still fighting. I think people thought when they started to see the blood that I would quit. But that would just fuel the fire. I'm like, oh shit, bleeding like crazy. I gotta make sure I keep the pressure on, because I don't want the I don't want the referee to stop the fight.
Yeah. Wow. That's so cool. And obviously, when someone from West Virginia gets to that level, they're royalty here. Because we all know, we can compete with anyone, but here you were actually doing it. And not only that, you were winning. And you actually, I saw an interview where Muhammad Ali's daughter said that you inspired her, was a big inspiration for her in getting into it. And, obviously her dad was too, but, that's got to be a really warm feeling when you think about that.
Actually, Layla just called me last week, and she was congratulating me on the movie, and she reminded me. She said, you are why I did this. And so that's pretty cool. Her dad's Muhammad Ali, but yet she did it because she saw me doing it. It's crazy. The craziest thing is that Jim Martin had me 100% convinced that West Virginia did not support me, did not love me, did not, basically wanted me to lose. And I believed him after a while, because, it's like if somebody tells you every day, your eyes are blue, you're going to look in the mirror, and next thing you know, you're like, geez, man, they might be blue. You start to let people get into your mindset. And that's what I did. I let him break me.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I grew up in McDowell County, and people have always pointed down at him and said, oh, well, you're this one certain thing. You're never going to be outside of this box. This is all that's ever going to happen to you. You're going to, you'll be lucky to be a coal miner. You'll be lucky to not be on pills. And I think that's part of it, is when you spend so long saying a certain thing and saying, here's your narrative, people start to listen to it. But that's why it's so important to embrace when people break outside of that box, like how you have. I know it's very special for me, even though, I was 10 years old, but it was still cool to know, West Virginia, it's awesome. Yeah. But it shows you what kind of power he had over you early. And on that too, being from a conservative place, West Virginia, you actually fought your partner now. Didn't you all fight?
Yeah. So Lisa Hollowine is my wife, and we fought each other on a Lennox Lewis versus Hasim Rahman rematch in Vegas in 2001 on a Don King show. So yeah, and it's funny because with that, I'm 50 plus years old now. I have a little bit of I don't care. You have to you don't have to accept me, but you don't have to talk to me either. But coming back home to Mullins, to Itmann, I don't feel like people care. Maybe they do.
They don't.
But I really don't feel like people care. And the first Christmas we were here, we were walking down the streets in Mullins. Nobody was in town. Nobody. I think it was even snowing. Christmas music going. And this truck, she tells the story all the time. The truck comes up, going. And all of a sudden, slams on the brakes, backs up. And Lisa's now she's nervous. And she says, "Merry Christmas." And the person in the truck says, "Merry Christmas," and then pulls off and then stops again, backs back up and says, "Hey sis, what's happening?" I'm like, "Oh my God." And of course it wasn't my brother, but it was a friend of my family and my friend even, but everybody up there calls me sis. And Lisa was just like, "Oh my God, who is that? And I can't believe that they're so nice to you." I'm like, I'm not 16. I'm not 15. I'm 50 something. And, it's a different time.
Yeah. Well, and it's one of those things I firmly believe West Virginia is way more accepting than people realize. And I think that there is a conservative mindset out there, unfortunately. But for you, did you know at an early age, like, did you repress certain feelings? Like, did you know you were gay at an early age, or?
So the whole time when I was in high school, I had a girlfriend, but I had boyfriends. So yes. And like through college, I had girlfriends, and I don't know that. Why did I choose to marry Jim and have that life? I think why I chose that was I felt like it made my family happy, it made the world happy, and it made everything a much happier place for me. It didn't maybe be the best choice that I wanted to make, but it was the best choice for everybody else.
Would you say less complicated?
Yes.
Yeah. And that makes me sad. But I understand it because do you remember ever facing like bigotry or anything like that in particular, or has it always just never really been a thing here?
Well, I mean, I had it from my own family. They're non-accepting early in high school and college, and then the push to make this work with Jim Martin. So, I mean, I had it at home. I don't, I'm sure it was happening outside the home, but I was dealing with that right from my family.
Yeah. What was it like for you to come out to your family? Was there a certain time where you were like, "Hey, let's sit down, guess what?" Or like, how did that work?
I think it happened like beep, beep, beep. ESPN come out and said Christy Martin was shot by her husband because she left him for a woman.
That's how they found out.
So I didn't, as we say, I didn't creep out. I kicked the door down like, here I am.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. Well, let's walk into that. So, what was going on at that time period with you and Jim? Were you kind of seeing someone else, or was he doing the same thing, or what was going on during that time?
It was just lots of cocaine, and I tell the story. I walked through my house, I saw myself in the mirror. I'm like, "Oh my God, you look like an addict." And they're like, "No, you are an addict," and that's not who I am. So immediately, I didn't stop. But I did stop mentally. I knew I had to stop using coke, and I just told him, it was done. I'm done with coke. I'm done with you. I'm getting back on the right track, and I don't want to be with you, and I want a divorce. And he reminded me, as he had for 20 years, "If you leave me, I'll kill you." And all right. But I couldn't take it anymore. And I wasn't going to hide. I wasn't going to run. I was going to live or die.
Yeah. And he would do controlling things like take pictures of you and do things to you that, obviously are abuse looking at it. How would he try to hold those things over your head to try and make you do what he says?
So he would, I'm going to let the boxing world, my boxing career was over. And that's really why, I was able to probably make that decision that I'm going to leave. Whatever happens is going to happen. But he was, I'm going to ruin your boxing career. I'm going to tell your family this. I'm going to send these pictures to your family. I'm going to do this and that. And it just got to the point where I was like, I don't care. Do what you have to do. That's how it was. It was just, I just couldn't run anymore. I wasn't going to hide. I wasn't going to run. And that's why a lot of people ask, well, why did you go back home? Because I wasn't going to run from him. And then what if I came up here and he decides to come kill me up here and he shoots somebody else besides me? I didn't want to put anybody else in jeopardy.
Yeah. So he was obviously like sociopath.
Oh, narcissist.
Yeah. All the things.
A lot of things.
So that day, how did it start out? Where were you?
Yeah, I came back from, actually I had commentated some amateur fights the night before. And I came back to the house and told him, I'm going to go to the gym. I had a terrible headache. I'm going to lay down for a minute. The entire time I was laying down, I can hear him sharpening a knife. Sharpening a knife. But he did this all the time. So I didn't, in my mind, he's still going to shoot me. I never thought about him coming to stab me. So after a while, he's on the phone talking to people, my aunt, different people. Christy's leaving me for a woman. She's a cocaine addict. And I just got up and my head's pounding. I'm like, I'm going to run until my head explodes or I start to feel better. So I'm putting on one tennis shoe and he comes in and he's like, I have something to show you. And I'm thinking he has a boxing contract to show me. And the next thing I know, he starts stabbing me. So.
What is that like? Like, is it kind of like a surreal moment? Like you can't believe it's happening, or could you feel it?
It's the good thing was he had sharpened the knife really sharp. So I didn't really feel it. I didn't even realize the first 3 stabs were stabs. He stabbed me on my side. I thought he just hit me until the 4th stab went through my breast and like blood went everywhere. And then I realized those other 3 were stabs too. And when he stabbed me those times, he punctured my lung. So now I can hear the gurgling of my lung. And that was pretty scary. That was way scary. And I tried to get away from him. I tried to kick him away from me, and he cut my calf muscle almost completely from my leg. And then we're down on the bedroom floor. He's pistol whipping me, beating my head against the dresser, and some switch just flipped. And I said, MF, you cannot kill me. And I meant it. Like, he wasn't going to kill me. And he stopped. When he stabbed me, he actually cut his hand, because that happens a lot of times. His hand slid up the knife. And he went to take care of his own wounds. And he kept coming in and out of the room to see if I was dying. And at one point I'm starting, Jim, my lung is gurgling. Get me help. I'm going to die. And he's just walking in and out. Then he comes in one time, he has the phone in his hand, and he's just like, the phone cord is dangling, not attached to the wall anymore. This phone won't work. And I'm like, I think that was like the trigger where I knew he was going to kill me. Like, he was not going to help me. Even if I had a little bit of thought that maybe he's going to help me, he's not going to let me die. Now I know he's not. So like, I just switched. And I told him, I've always hated you. You're a piece of shit. I just told him what I really thought. And then he picked up the gun and stood at my feet with my own pink 9mm. And I told him, you don't have the balls to shoot me. And he shot me. Yeah. So
Where did he shoot you at?
he missed my heart by 3 inches.
So he shot you in the chest.
Yep. The bullet, I was laying on the cement floor, it's carpet, but Florida, the houses are cement floors. So the bullet didn't go all the way through. It was right. You could touch it. You could feel it in my back. But yeah, I missed my heart by 3 inches, broke my scapula, did some other damage as it passed through me, but missed my heart. So that's the main thing.
Thank goodness it did. So the bullet went in there and bounced around and did a bunch of damage. And
yeah, it kind of went straight through, but on its way through, it did some damage and it broke my scapula back there.
Gotcha. So what is your mind? Did you pass out or like?
So I think I passed out for a minute. And when I woke up, I had this, the register for the air conditioning was in the ceiling. And I just remember like praying to God. It's like I could see God's eyes. Just help me get out. Give me some sign. Help me get out. And it was like immediately I heard the shower water turn on. And I had tried to get up numerous times before. And every time I would try, like blood would start squirting out of these holes and it would scare me. So I would lay back down. But this time I got up. I had a shirt like trying to compress the holes. And I got up. Picked up the gun because he had wiped off the gun and laid it beside me. I picked it up and I went out the front door. And I get to my car. I have the wrong keys.
Oh, goodness.
And so now it's like, I'm either going to go back in there or go to the middle of the road and like try to find somebody, flag somebody down. And that's what I did. I went to the middle of the road and one of my neighbors, Rick Cole, I say is my angel, took me to the hospital.
Oh, man. My goodness. And you can't help but think like that probably would have killed 90% of people if you didn't have your fighting mentality. Wow.
I think that when the day started, I was ready to surrender, but then I wasn't going to let him win.
Thank goodness. My goodness. So they take you to the hospital. Do they instantly get the cops to go get him?
So of course, the guy who picked me up calls 911, tells them what happened. The cops, everybody, they're waiting for me at the hospital, but they're also there looking for him. But he went on the run. So he was actually hiding for a week, and then they found him. They found him exactly where I told him he would be. But yeah, he was on the run for a week, or he was hiding in the neighbor's shed for a week, actually.
Yeah. So what were the exact charges? Did he plead guilty? There was no way out of it. Obviously,
he didn't plead guilty. He was found guilty of second degree attempted murder and with the deadly weapon, but then there was another charge to it because of the knife. Mm-hmm. So it was two different charges. So he was given 25 years day for day. He actually just died in November of
did he die?
Year in prison. So yeah.
Gotcha. Well, I'll say good riddance. My goodness.
Yeah.
So, what was your recovery like? So now you got all this stuff wrong with you, and you got to deal with that, but you also got to deal with making sure that justice is served. How was that time period of your life?
It was. I was in the hospital for about 10 days. The first thing I did, left the hospital, went straight to the boxing gym, because that's where I felt at home and felt safe. So I had all these stitches in my leg. I had stitches lots of places. My ear, he cut my ear like off my head. So
he cut your ear off your head?
Like my ear was just hanging there. So they stitched that back together. Do
you have hearing loss?
No. So I just, I made a deal with God from the hospital that if you'll let me live, I'm going to help as many people as I possibly can. And so that's what I've tried to do from that day. And at first it was like, if I could just help one person before I die. And then the arrogant me kicked in and said, no, I need to help one person every day. So that's where we are. We're trying to help one person every day. And by doing this with you, hopefully, many, many hundreds or thousands of people are going to hear us and they'll be able to take something away. You never know. I mean, it can be one little word you say that resonates with somebody and makes them like snap to and get their attention. Because I think a lot of us in domestic violence situations, we get down the rabbit hole too far before we really realize what's happening, especially when it's not physical. And mine wasn't physical really until it was physical. Like the control, the isolation, those things, they happen little by little. And then all of a sudden you look around and you're like, wow, I don't have friends. Where are all my friends? Where are my family? Where's my family? And then it's too late. You're stuck and you can't really reach out to anybody. You don't know who to trust.
Yeah. Yeah. You're kind of isolated, by design.
Right.
Yeah. So you started an organization, right?
Christy's Champs is my nonprofit for domestic violence awareness. And one of the big things we do, we put computers in local boxing gyms to help the kids that are there. We are lucky. We don't think about everybody doesn't have the internet at their house or they don't have a computer at their house. Printers. You just take it for granted.
Yep.
So we make all those things accessible to as many boxing gyms as we can. So I marry my two loves. Not that I love domestic violence, but I want to help domestic violence awareness. And then obviously I think helping amateur boxing is really important. Not for boxing. Boxing is important for so many kids go to boxing gyms because things aren't good at their house.
Yeah. So
we need to keep those boxing gyms alive.
Yeah. And that it's good to talk about because, like for me, I talk about regularly having an abusive father. And I think that people can relate and just say, oh, you know what? You seem to have it all together, but still you went through this. So maybe I can figure out how to do that too. Because I pretty much said like, well, I'm going to end the cycle. I'm not going to carry that on with my daughter. Right. You know what I mean? Right. And just talking about it and seeing, what you had to go through to overcome it, I think is just so inspiring for people. You're inspiring in many ways. I mean, first off, I can't imagine how many girls picked up boxing gloves because they saw you. I mean, it's probably hundreds, to be honest. Who knows? Thousands. But then now you're giving back in this way. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, do you promote fights? Like, what's your involvement in the boxing world still?
So, Christy Martin Promotions is my promotional company. And yes, we promote fights. We have October 11th coming up in El Paso. One of our fighters, Victor Hernandez, will be fighting for an NABF title. He's already got 2 or 3 titles. I have some good fighters that are all up and coming. Tobar Apochi, he's a cruiserweight that's in the top 20. Curtis Harper, he's a heavyweight that's looking for a big fight right now. Tony Aguilar, Junior Pizzotti. We have Sheldon, a little kid. I call him a little kid because I'm old. Sheldon Balaton, he's a 122 pounder from down in Louisiana that I'm excited about. He's lefty and he can box and he can punch. And he's a handsome little guy. So he's very marketable.
Heck yeah, that's cool. You're still heavily involved in that world. So eventually, and I'm sure a lot of people have watched the Netflix documentary. I think it's called The Devil Made Me Do It. When did they come? Like, did they just give you a call like, hey, we're going to do this thing for Netflix? What do you think? Like, how did that come about?
Yeah, I think I probably got an email or a call from the Way brothers. And then, my first thing is they're, it's BS.
Yeah.
But then a couple of calls later, I realized that no, they really want to do this. So Got really lucky. Laura Bronson is the producer for the show for my episode. She's family to me now. She actually came here to West Virginia. She interviewed my mom and dad, and she might be coming back for the movie to West Virginia. So, good family. Glad I met her, and she took care of me. I feel like they portrayed it as it happened. They didn't try to make anything sensationalized. It just is what it is, or what it was.
Yeah. Oh, it's really good. I highly recommend. Let me make sure I got that name right.
It's called Deal with the Devil.
Deal with the Devil. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I knew I got it wrong as I said it. The Devil Made Me Do It, I think it's like a documentary about the Teflon thing. I can't remember. All right. But yeah, highly recommend. And now we got another exciting thing coming up that involves Sydney Sweeney. Who's directing that movie?
So David Mashad is the director. And he's an awesome dude from Australia. So yeah, cool dude. He's done some really great stuff, and he really took the time to get this right.
How long has that process been? Has it been years?
So it was funny because once this team got together with Sydney, with David Mashad, it was just like no time, just months. And we were filming. It moved quickly once the team actually got put in place.
Where did the production take place?
So it actually filmed in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Oh, cool.
And I was like, really? We're going to Charlotte? Of all the cool places we could go.
That's West Virginia's second home. That's where all our people go.
Yeah, I know. That's why I was like, no, I've been here. Let's go someplace. Let's go to the beach somewhere. But they gave us great tax breaks, and it was fun being in Charlotte for the filming. Man, those actors and actresses, we kind of complain probably about how much money they make, but they work crazy hours, and they work really hard. It's
a hard job.
Earn their money, and I can't imagine doing what they do, just being under the gun all the time.
Yeah, and it's called Christy, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, and Sydney Sweeney, didn't she put on weight? Didn't she really go method with it?
Look, Sydney Sweeney is tiny, as everybody knows. She put on about 30 pounds, and people are just going to be blown away because Sydney Sweeney is a sexy and all that, young and sexy and beautiful, but she's me. And she's like down and dirty and doing this boxing stuff. I think this is going to be that role for her. Like the breakout role that really shows people she has more to her abilities.
The range. Yeah. I could imagine. Did she sit down and have a long talk with you or anything? What was her preparation?
So she was in the gym a lot. Matt Biamonte was one of the guys that used to work with Angelo Dundee that I knew from a long time ago. So when they told me that he was training her, I was like, oh, that's awesome. So we had conversations, but really she focused on I think she focused on the boxing and she clearly watched me a lot because some of the stuff she does made me laugh. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Everybody needs to come see it November 7th.
Oh, that's great. Okay, so it's coming up soon. So how much of the production were you there? Were you there the whole time?
I was there a lot. I was probably there maybe 5 or 6 weeks, different times. I would be in for a week and then have to go do a fight or something, and I would come back for a couple of weeks. So I was there a lot.
Yeah. These movies are, there's a lot that goes into it. I'll tell you what, being on a crew is probably the hardest job you can possibly do. You're working 16-hour days, usually 6 on, 1 off. And it's just so grueling. We shot a little movie over the summer, and, we just had a crew of 15 to 20, but even just that was hard enough. I could only imagine, what goes into making a full-fledged boxing movie. Do you know how many fights are in the movie? Is there any details? Probably can't give away too much.
There's some fight scenes. There's some good fight scenes. Again, and people are going to be surprised. They're going to be surprised at Sydney Sweeney's range, as you said, and and the fight scenes are good. Sometimes we have boxing movies and the fight scenes kind of suck.
Yeah.
But the fight scenes are good.
So you got to have like someone there, like, that's not how you would punch. Like, you got to kind of, do they have consultants on there? Or would you tell them, like, hey, that's not like, throw a punch like this, not like that. Here's how I would have done it.
I actually was in the gym with Sydney some, but they have a guy. They have a couple different people, like
consultants,
coordinators, stunt coordinators, and like the opponent. It's really good. It's good.
That's cool. And the trailer is released. I won't play it because I don't want them to pull it, but definitely go check out the trailer for Christy. So, and you too, like, how did she talk? Because you kind of were like Muhammad Ali in a way, because you would talk smack, like at press conferences. How much of that was, true to life, or were you trying to egg it on and sell the fight?
I think, honestly, like, I got to slide into that persona of Christy Martin, because Christy Salters is quiet and shy and reserved, but like when I got to be Christy Martin, it was shit talker.
Yeah.
And I had fun with it. And yeah, I mean, we're trying to sell fights and draw attention to to my fight. I had to do something to make people want to watch. Let's see what she really can do. She's talking all this trash. Let's see if she can really back it up.
It definitely worked out. And like it or not, like, Conor McGregor, for instance, you see people running their mouth, it's going to make you want to purchase it a little more than the others that are like, okay, let's shake hands and let's go. I mean, it's just part of it. But yeah. And then was there a certain fight where you were like, and you told me you saw, you saw the person in the casino walking by themselves and that had you feel like your career was over. Was there a fight where you were like, whoa, that hurt a little too much? Is it the Ali fight maybe? Or what would you say?
No, I think, it never got to that point where I felt like, oh, I got beat up and I need to just quit. That was too much to get back. It really wasn't like that. It was more of me losing the desire to hurt people. That I really thought my career is done, and I should have retired a long time before I did. I had most of those losses came at the end of my career when focus was a little bit out of whack, and desire was a little less than what it had been.
Yeah, and you actually fought after your attack.
I was in the ring. I was actually scheduled to fight in March after being shot in November. But when I was sparring, I got a rib broken because actually the rib was already broken. The bullet had broken the rib. And yeah, so the rib was broken and it pushed the fight to June. I was supposed to fight in March.
Yeah. Wow. Still got back in the ring. Still did it. I think 2 more times after that,
Two more times. One time. So after that, then I broke my hand in that fight in June. And when I was in surgery to have my hand fixed, I had a stroke. So the doctor told me don't fight. And I fought anyway, which was stupid. And I lost. But I also learned that you shouldn't fight after I have a stroke.
Do you have complications from that?
Yeah, I have double vision. So I have a prism in my glasses. And, if I get tired, it's a little harder. Like the words, they're there, but they just won't come out. And then I can usually tell how I feel by how I see. Mm-hmm. If I see pretty good without my glasses, then I'm feeling pretty good. But when some mornings I wake up and I can't see it really at all. Yeah.
Do you have any symptoms from your injuries from getting attacked?
No, not really. No.
That's good. Are you training?
I am a little bit training because I'm trying to get Jake Paul to give me one of those big paydays.
Let's go. Let's make it happen.
I'm trying. We'll see.
That would be cool.
But the really cool thing is I'm working a little bit with Craig Duncan, who was one of my amateur fighters. And now he's training Victor Hernandez, who will be fighting in El Paso. He's training him. So I'm in his gym.
That's awesome.
I'm up to sparring. I mean, I'm up to shadow boxing 2 rounds. That's all I'm doing.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
that's still great. Well, cool. The nickname. Who came up with the nickname early? Did you kind of know, like, I'm the coal miner's daughter? That's just going to be what it is.
Nope. So they were trying very hard to find a nickname for me, and they wanted to put something on me like the Thrasher or the Knockout or this or that. But I said, no, I don't want something I have to live up to. So Jimmy Lennon Jr., who was a very famous ring announcer, he said, the coal miner's daughter. I'm like, absolutely.
Heck yeah.
So we went through and actually got a message to Loretta Lynn and made sure it was okay with her. And then I was fortunate enough to meet her a couple times. And I mean, come on, we're from West Virginia. That was the highlight. And when I was inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame, she actually sent a video congratulating me being inducted. You know,
awesome.
I told the people there, so you guys don't get it, but it's a big deal.
Yeah, and rest in peace to Loretta Lynn. She died in 2022. But yeah, I remember that movie with like Sissy Spacek, and it was like the whole deal.
And that's what I told Sydney. I said, you're going to be, you know, Sissy Spacek to Loretta Lynn is going to be me and you. You're going to be tied to me forever.
That's so awesome. That's such a huge deal. Listen, you're a big deal, but it's got to be cool to see Sydney Sweeney play you. It's got to be a little weird. Is it weird?
It's weird. It's all weird.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm from Itmann, West Virginia. How many people live down there? 500, 600 now?
Right.
I mean, when I was growing up, there were more people there, but I mean, I am who I am. I'm just, I'd rather sit back and drink a beer with you or have a shot of moonshine than go out and try to have some fancy wine. You know, that's not who I am.
I went on I think it was called the Red Rock. Anyway, I went on my first, we'll call it like a big boy meal with a bunch of corporate people, and they all sat down and they were paying for this meal. And I double taked at the steak. I was like, that says $200.
Yeah. You know,
and they're like, oh, do you want it? And I'm like, no. Yeah. And they're like, let me get it for you. And I get it. And I swear a Texas Steakhouse steak tastes just as good. And I felt so guilty for eating a $200 steak. And I just thought, like, the range of life experiences, you know, I'm sure you probably ran into that a couple times because, you know, I grew up in McDowell. Like, you spend $50 at a meal, that's a lot of money for the whole family. You know what I mean? And they were dropping over $1,000 on this one meal. And I was like, what a weird world. People lose touch of reality. You know, they have this money and they don't think about, that $200 steak. How many families, how many kids that are hungry could you have fed with that $200 that you just bought that steak with? It probably wasn't much better than, like you said, the Texas, you know, Roadhouse or whatever. It's just, I don't know. Yeah. And I've been at those places where they give you a menu and there's no prices on the menu. That means, you know, that means you're out of it. You better have some deep pockets. Yeah. Oh, I went in and they were like, here is this coat. And I was like, what is this? And they're like, yeah, take your hat off, wear this coat. And I was like, oh,
yeah.
Like there's, you know, wardrobe requirements here. I'm not used to this. But, you know, it's life experience. But perspective is good to remember, like, we don't need a $200 steak. Like, that's stupid.
Yeah.
But at the same time, just so proud to say I'm from the region where Christy Martin is from. And I know people listening are feeling the same way. What's the future plans? Like, what's next? Is there a sequel in the works? Like, what's going on?
There probably could be a sequel, but no, I think so. We just bought 16 acres down in Florida. We're going to build a training center. With that training center is going to be open to professional fighters that are, you know, fighting for titles, big dogs. We're also going to have amateur boxing, but more importantly to me, we're going to do punching for Parkinson's. We're going to do some domestic violence groups coming from the shelters that are nearby us. We're just going to reach out to those people that need us. That's what that gym's going to do. And so I'm really, really excited about that. And it'll be open the first quarter of next year.
Beautiful. Punching for Parkinson's. Did someone have Parkinson's in your life?
Well, I think it's a great program, and they've really found out that it helps. And actually, a very good friend of mine's mother was diagnosed with Parkinson's, and she's doing the punching for Parkinson's.
Oh, nice.
And loving it.
Yeah. Well, loving good. It. Good. Yeah. It's such a crappy disease, but that's awesome. So what do? They have people with Parkinson's come in and kind of train. Is that kind of what it's about?
I'm learning now about the program.
Mhm.
A couple people that I know have the programs at their gyms. So they're getting information to me now. But yeah, basically they just go through a workout, and it's about coordination, I think, and keeping everything moving.
That's awesome. Well, cool, Christy. Thank you for doing this. I appreciate you being here. What do we plug before we leave? You got anything particular you're wanting to plug other than the movie and all this good stuff going on?
The movie, of course, but ChristyMartin.net. If I don't plug that, my PR guy, John, will kick me in the butt. At ChristyMartin.net, I'm making appearances, speaking, talking about domestic violence, talking about sexuality, talking about the underdog, basically anything anyone wants to happy to come and be part of their group. I'm open to it. That's it. Social media. I'm out there. I Christy's Champs. We try to help as many people as we possibly can. Just reach out. If you are in a bad situation, reach out to someone, because there's so many people out there that not only want to help, but they can help. Mm-hmm. But when you're in that situation, you're just afraid. You don't know who to reach out to, but you have to reach out to someone.
Let's talk about that. If someone is experiencing domestic violence, which odds are pretty high, unfortunately, that someone that's listening to this, what can they do to safely get out of it?
Get a plan. Number one, get a plan, get your stuff ready. Reach out to your local domestic violence shelter. Reach out to Christy's Champs. We're all over social media, Instagram, Facebook. And we'll do what we can to help. But locally, right to you, right here in Beckley, OA is here. So reach out. Don't stay one day longer, because you never know when that day is going to come that they flip as Jim Martin did.
Yeah. Yep. And that's what happens with these narcissists. Eventually they just blow up, and got to get out before that happens. And I'm so glad you're still here. Thank you for doing this. And everyone out there, shout out to Champ the Pomeranian. So it's Pomeranian, right?
Yes, Champ. And Champ, he stole his show 2 times up in Toronto at the film festival. He the first day I was holding him, and after they had introduced the cast and me and Champ, he saw Lisa over to the side, and he wanted to go to Lisa. So I just put him down. He ran off stage. The crowd went nuts. The next day, we're on there Q&A again, and he's crying to come to me. So Lisa puts him down. He runs on stage. Crowd goes nuts. So with all that, they actually now are doing a little prototype of Champ that will be like a little stuffed animal, and the proceeds will go to domestic violence awareness. So.
Oh, how cool. Yeah. Yeah. For the audio people, Champ the Pomeranian's been in here just being the best dog I've ever seen. Just chilling. But yeah. All right, Christy, thank you. Appreciate you. Everyone else out there, before you leave, be sure to like this video, subscribe to Creepalachia on YouTube if you haven't. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, take a minute and leave a review. That'll really help the show be found. And we are on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and we do have hoodies up now for pre-order, creepalachia.shop. And everyone else, always remember, above all else, long live Appalachia.